guys, welcome to my YouTube channel where I'm here to show you all things about bread making in your bread maker. I've been making bread in my bread maker for almost 20 years and it is one of my favorite things to do. Today I'm going to show you how to make a classic pizza dough crust. This is a thicker crust pizza, similar to a rising crust pizza that you would, get frozen in the store, something like that. My kids love this crust. They call it the Fat Daddy pizza dough. It's their absolute favorite. It's one of our favorites. I've been making it and perfecting it for many years. It's simple, uses simple ingredients. So today I'm going to show you how to do that using your bread maker. So first, what you need is your water. You need warm water. It should be about 115 degrees or so. Before you get a feel for what that is, after you've been making bread for a while, just use a digital thermometer to make sure you get that accurate temperature. So you are going to pour your water into the bread pan, followed by olive oil. I use extra virgin olive oil. You can use whatever you want. Regular olive oil is fine too. Vegetable oil is also fine. We like to keep it a little bit healthier, so we always use olive oil for everything, and that's 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil, followed by the 3/4 cup of warm water. This pizza dough also will make it'll make one pizza, one like 12 to 14 inch pizza, depending on how far you are able to stretch it, which we'll get to that later on. I'll show you how to stretch your pizza as well. After your olive oil, you want to do your flour. We use bread flour always for all of our breads. It gives it a lighter, airier crust than using all-purpose flour. You can use all-purpose flour, that's perfectly fine. But if you have bread flour, that is the best flour to use for all of your doughs. This recipe is 2 cups of bread flour. So you add that next after your liquid ingredients. And now I have, in my bread machine, the ingredients go liquids and then the dry ingredients. Yours might be different depending on your brand, so just always check and make sure in your manual this is the correct order of ingredients for you. After your bread flour, you want to add your salt and sugar. So salt, we're just using 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Pour that over your flour. And then I add sugar, just 1 teaspoon of sugar. You can omit the sugar, you don't have to use it. It just gives the dough a little bit more flavor, but it's perfectly fine if you feel like admitting that. You don't want sugar in your dough, that's fine. Okay, after the sugar, we're going to just mix it around a little bit, mix the dry ingredients around, kind of create a little indent in your dry ingredients there, and then we're going to add the yeast. So this recipe is just 1 teaspoon of yeast. I use instant dry yeast. You can use any yeast in your bread machine. You don't have to proof it. You can use bread machine yeast. You can use instant active dry yeast. Whatever brand you want is fine. I actually buy my yeast in bulk and then I keep it in the freezer and it lasts really forever. This yeast that I'm using has not gone bad yet and I probably had it in my freezer for about a year or so. So it's 1 teaspoon of yeast. Once we add the yeast, close the lid, set your machine to the dough cycle. On my machine, that is cycle 11. This is the Zojirashi machine, and just hit start. It'll take about 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on your machine. Usually it's about 90 minutes. So I always make sure to come and check on my dough after 5 to 10 minutes of it kneading to make sure that it's not too sticky or it's not too dry, because if it is too dry, you need to add a little bit of water. If it's too sticky, you need to add a little bit more flour. So we'll come back and check it in about 5-10 minutes and see how it is. All right, so we are back to check on our dough ball. It's been kneading for about 5 minutes. So I want to make sure that it's not too sticky, it's not too dry, before letting it continue to knead and walking away and letting it do its thing. So my machine automatically pauses once I open it up. If yours doesn't, make sure to pause it first. I'm gonna take the dough ball out and show you what it should look like. So this is our pizza dough ball. So you can see it's still, it's still kneading, so it's not perfectly round yet, but when I touch it, nothing really sticks to my fingers. It's just a little bit tacky. You can kind of pull it apart, but if I wanted to form it into a nice little ball, I can do that. So this is what your dough should look like in there. If it's too sticky and it sticks to your fingers or it's pulling apart, you have a lot of dough on your hands, you wanna add a little bit more flour, maybe like a tablespoon at a time, let it knead for a couple more minutes, come back and check. If you can't even pick it up because it's just so sticky and wet, you definitely need a lot more flour than a tablespoon or so. And just kind of do it by eye until you feel like until it looks like this. If this is really dry and it's like crumbly, you want to add a little bit more liquid, and you can also do that, start off with like a tablespoon at a time and just add a little bit more warm liquid until you get a dough ball that looks like this. So I'm gonna put it back in, close my lid, and we're gonna come back when it's done. It takes about like 80 or so minutes. So we'll be back, and when we come back, I will show you how to shape your dough into a pizza. Put all your toppings on and get it into the oven, get that nice like restaurant style pizza. Welcome back. So now that we have our dough made, we are ready to shape our pizza. So you'll notice here I have my oven preheating. It should preheat to 500 or 525. You want to make sure that you have your pizza stone or your baking sheet in the oven preheating along with it. And then once the oven comes to temperature, you want to make sure your stone or your baking sheet sits in there for at least 20 minutes at 500 or 525 degrees while you shape and create your pizza. So here's our dough. Perfect dough ball. Before you put it on your pizza peel, you want to generously sprinkle your pizza peel with either cornmeal or semolina flour. So I have flour. You don't want it to stick to your pizza peel because you want to be able to just transfer the pizza and have it slide right off onto your pizza stone in the oven. So I'm putting a lot of flour here, or cornmeal. I'm taking my dough, I'm gonna put it down on the pizza peel and just start to shape it into a circle, working from the inside of the dough or the center of the dough out. Not really pressing down on the outside where that'll be my crust. You want that to rise up and not be flattened. So if you're having a little bit of trouble getting your dough to stretch, so right now mine's probably half the size I want it to be, and it's really not stretching anymore. So in that case, there's nothing wrong with your dough, that's fine. You just want to get it as far as you can without it pulling back. And so once it kind of stops pulling back, like right now mine is not really pulling back anymore. So I'm going to just press down. Press down in the center. This will get some of the air bubbles out, even though we do love some bubbles on our pizza. It's my favorite part. I want to get most of them out. So once I notice that my dough really isn't stretching anymore, but my pizza is not as big as I want it to be, I'm gonna leave it and let it rest for like 5 to 10 minutes. You always wanna cover it with a cloth. I have a cheesecloth. You can use a towel, a dough towel, and just leave it here and then come back in about 5 to 10 minutes, let it rest, and it should start to stretch a little bit better for you. So we will leave this here for about 5 minutes and we'll be back. All right, so we are back and ready to see if our pizza can be stretched any bit bigger. Our oven has preheated, so as soon as we're done here, we should be able to get our pizza in the oven. So before we start stretching it again, see all this flour that kind of came out from underneath? We wanna make sure we put it back under so that our pizza can easily slide around the pizza peel, and we always want to just kind of shake it. We call this a little, the shiggle here. Make sure that it easily slides so when you go to transfer it, once you put all your toppings on, it doesn't stick. If it sticks, you'll have a big mess. So we are going to continue stretching from the center out, not pressing on the outer edges, about maybe like a half an inch to an inch. You want to make sure that stays fluffy and thick and risen like a pizza crust that you would get from the restaurant. So I think I'm happy with how big this pizza is. This pizza is going to be for my kids, so they don't need a huge pizza. I could probably, if I wanted to, let it rest again, cover it up, come back in 10 minutes and make it even bigger, but we are going to leave it like this. It's probably about 10, 12 inches, so just about the right size. So what we're gonna do now is again, pick it up, make sure it moves a little bit. This edge was stuck, so I'm just gonna put a little more flour underneath there. Okay, stretch it out again. Make sure it moves. This is kind of messy. You might get flour everywhere, but you know, that's okay. All right, so now I have my pizza sauce. It's about 1/3 cup of pizza sauce. And you just want to spread it on. You want to spread it on lightly. You don't want to press down too hard because then your pizza dough might start to stick to your pizza peel here. And this is my homemade pizza sauce. It's a no-cook pizza sauce, really simple. You can find it on my second blog, myminishefs.com. It's just tomato sauce, some herbs, and mix it all together, and that is it. It's really delicious. So you want to put about 1/3 cup of pizza sauce, depending on how saucy you like your pizza. The preference is yours. And then again, don't do anything to the outer crust here. You want to make sure that that stays just plain, just the dough. So once you layer it with your sauce, take your cheese. I use a mixture of mozzarella and Parmesan. It's about 1 cup of cheese for a pizza this big. You can use more, you can use less. However cheesy you like your pizza, make it be yours. We like ours a little cheesier, so this is probably a little bit more than 1 cup. And again, don't sprinkle it on the outer edge. Just enough to cover the sauce. Okay, and then my trick to the best tasting crust is to mix a little bit of milk with your pizza sauce. Mix it together, take a baster here, and rub it on that crust, that outer edge that we left alone. So this gives it some color, some flavor. It makes it really soft, really delicious. This is my little trick here. I think you'll love it also. You want to make sure that when you're doing this, you don't put too much on your baster so that it drips down onto the pizza peel. If it does, your dough might stick, and then it'll be a little trickier to get moving off the peel and transfer to the oven. So now again, before we transfer this to the oven, we want to pick it up, make sure it moves. I'm still a little stuck on this side, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit more flour. Being careful to pick up my pizza crust, maybe just pick it up like that. Now I have the perfect pizza ready to be cooked. Now for the oven transfer, our pizza stone has been heating for about 20 minutes. Just want to shimmy it down there onto your pizza stone or your baking sheet. If you don't have a pizza stone, a baking sheet is fine. If you use a baking sheet, I would say to just coat it very lightly with oils if you want like a little bit of a crispier undercarriage to your crust. If not, you can leave it and use a non-stick baking sheet as is, and just do what we did here. So we're gonna let this bake for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, depending on how melted you like your crust, if you like those bubbles, if you like some little golden brown burnt spots. So we're gonna come back and check it in about 10 minutes. All right, so we are back and ready to check on our pizza. It's been about 12 minutes. So to take out the pizza from the oven, I typically like to use my aluminum pizza peel just because it's thinner than the wooden one, but you can use the wooden one, whatever you have is fine. So our pizza looks perfect. We are going to leave the peel in the oven. Take out our pizza. Alexa, cancel. That was my timer. You can see that the pizza is pretty puffy right now. That's fine. Let it sit here and rest for about 5 minutes. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna cut it, and I'm going to show you just how perfect and delicious it is. It'll feel a little bit hard around the crust right now, but don't worry, that will soften with that pizza sauce and milk mixture that I did. So we're gonna sit here, let it rest for a few minutes, then come back and we're gonna cut it. All right, everyone, so I'm going to show you just how amazing this pizza turned out with my bread maker dough, Look at how wonderful that pizza is. The crust has softened up, but it's still just a little crispy. Perfectly colored, golden brown and red, and just amazing. So now we're gonna cut our pizza. I use this pizza cutter. You can use just a regular old pizza wheel. That's totally fine, whatever you got. So let's cut into our pizza here, that crispiness. We're gonna cut it into our 8 traditional slices. The reason I like a pizza cutter like this one is because it doesn't make the cheese all stringy and kind of pull it off the dough. My kids hate that, so you know, you want them to eat your pizza. Look how absolutely delicious this is. Perfect pizza, perfect pizza. Cut these ones a little bit better, but some of them have bubbles. And there you have it. See, the inside is perfectly cooked and delicious. So that is how you make bread maker pizza dough and then cook your pizza in the oven. I hope you enjoy this recipe and many more. You can get everything else at tastyoven.com.